So today I am talking again with Tiffany, and this is the second part of our conversation about ADHD. So here's the next question. If you could show us what was inside your brain day to day as an ADHD brain, what would that look like?
My brain is a fun place. In trying to explain it to other people, especially people who don't have those issues. One, I explain it as I'm in a room and 30 different people are sitting around me in a chair, and each of them are reading me a book, and I'm trying to listen and follow every single book. It's just so noisy.
Yeah.
So many people talking at you, and you're trying to concentrate. And that's happening while you're trying to go about your day, while you're trying to listen to your kids talking to you, while you're trying to have a discussion with your spouse, while you're trying to do the bills. Another one that I actually just thought of today was, you know, when you go into a fun house and there's all the different mirrors and stuff, and some of them look like they're far away and some of them look like they're close. Yeah. So each of those fragments, each of those mirrors to me is a different thought or memory. So I'm looking and I'm seeing all of it at the same time because everything is demanding my attention
all at once.
And so you need to go somewhere, right? Okay, so I pick one way to go, thinking that I'll go back to where I was before and then be able to pick this other line of thought to think about or this other thing to do. The problem is that as you follow that, you're never going to get back to this place. You think you're going to remember, okay, I'll remember to come back to this, but it's always
lost.
It's always a new
you're lost
new
in the giant brain.
You're never going to get back
house.
And the other one is living in a wind machine where money starts flying up all around, and you're trying to catch on each of those pieces of money. Some sort of thing is written, like something that needs to be done, or it's a memory, or it's whatever. All of those things, when they're flying around you in the wind machine, have the same value because you can't see what it is. So everything is just a $100 bill. And so you grab it, but that $100 bill is, oh my goodness, I wonder what toothpaste is made of. You know, and you're like, crap. So you throw that $100 bill back and you grab another one. And
you're constantly trying to find more money, maybe. Yeah. Right? Like a more, because that's a good analogy.
There's this example where somebody had written what ADHD was like. They talk about how there is no filter. Other people who are neurotypical, they have a filter. And so all this information comes in, but the filter works to tell you what things are important, what things you need to pay attention to. Those things get written on a whiteboard. When you have ADHD, there is no filter. And so you have to take each little piece of information and focus on it and decide for yourself if that thing is important to write up on the whiteboard. When you don't have a filter, everything gets written on the whiteboard. And sometimes the important things, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, those important things on the whiteboard get erased because you need to write down that you heard your kid taking a bite of an apple.
You notice everything.
Or that, a bird just flew by the window. Well, that gets written over pay the bills.
It's so frustrating to have every little tiny fleeting thought intrude all the time. Like you're just trying to focus. Here's my example. Is like a train in your train of thoughts going, and someone just picks it up off the track and puts it on a completely different track. Like I was going on this track and someone not in my control, someone took it. No, I didn't even want them to take it. I did not want them to take the train, but they took it, and then you're going down that train and someone takes it again, so you can never get where you're going.
And sometimes once you're on that track, you don't even realize that you're on that different track until you get going on it, and you're like, wait, how did I get here? Look how ADHD this is. I now have a hamster in my hand.
Don't even ask how that happened. Okay.
No hamster now.
So I thought it would be fun to go through some common scenarios that we experience with ADHD and see if we have similarities or differences. For me, I lose things a lot.
I don't lose things.
Really?
Yeah. I think also because I keep everything very simple.
Oh, okay.
I don't have lots of stuff. I know where everything is.
Wow. That is a big difference. Okay, I lose stuff all the time. Keys,
now,
wallet,
ask
phone.
Me how it was when I was a kid, because then things would get lost because it was lost in my room somewhere because my room was a disaster.
So now you keep things pretty clean because you just simplify it all.
And I make it more of a conscious effort to, put my key in my bag.
You've learned.
It's a learned behavior.
I've tried to do that with a lot of things, but I still lose a lot of things. How about awkward social moments? I feel like throughout my life, I've had a fair number of those. I've gotten better, but sometimes I think when an awkward moment has happened, I've gotten worse. Either because I have lost track of what the person was saying and I don't know what they're talking about because my brain went somewhere else. Not on purpose, but like accidentally.
I do get that.
Okay.
Where I'm talking and then all of a sudden I go, where was I going with that?
How about just saying like random stuff? Because I have that problem. I think it might also be my nervousness. When I'm nervous, I just want to talk. And so I'll just say whatever is in my mind and it is not super applicable to the conversation.
I don't have that. I just love I love talking. I don't get nervous about it. Now, I have done things before where I've said something and then later I've thought, why did I say that?
I've had so many of those moments where you don't think about what you're saying, you just say it, and then afterwards I have remorse. I'm like, that sounded so insensitive.
Right.
That happens to me a lot, and I feel terrible. So if you're someone who has an ADHD friend or loved one, please know that we feel so bad. We're going to say stuff sometimes that is not super sensitive because we're not thinking.
Right.
We're impulsive.
Because that's the whole thing. That's the impulsive. That's the filter,
no filter.
The filter's not there to say, might not be good to say this.
How about forgetting appointments or forgetting things?
I'm pretty good.
Wow, really?
I'm pretty good.
Dang, that's really good. I am super forgetful. I thought that was like kind of if you have ADHD, you are forgetful.
Oh, I am very forgetful.
Okay, like short-term memory forgetful, yes.
But it's so weird the things I'm forgetful on because sometimes I'm forgetful about this stuff, but then other things I'm not. So my husband, for instance, he'll say, how could you forget that thing? I'm like, I don't know. Ask me how much potatoes cost on that one Thursday when I went to the grocery store with my mom when I was in 4th grade. I don't remember that.
We remember things that are exciting to us or that for some reason that have made an impression. But if they're kind of boring things that we don't really care about, it's so hard to remember them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
How about being unprepared for things?
I'm always needing to borrow someone's pen. I'm just good to get out the door and get there maybe on time. I used to be really bad about being on time to things. So I've worked. Probably because being on time is super important to my husband.
That's been a lifelong battle for me, being on time. I've definitely gotten better, but there's still times when I think, I should know this by now, that I need to plan ahead and leave earlier. And I mean,
that's the story of our lives. We should know better.
But we still make the mistakes.
Still, yeah.
Talking about more positive things, how about just a bunch of random talents? I will hyper-focus on something I thought would be fun to learn. And so I've done that so many times of just random things. I get to be where I'm not like a master at it, but I'm proficient at it, and then I move on to another thing. Do you have that?
No, but I'm like the queen of useless knowledge. But I really like that. I really like that I can, I've read something in a book like a long time ago, and then all of a sudden, voila, the opportunity comes up to say, did you know that President so-and-so and President so-and-so were actually born on the 4th of July and their spouses?
I am terrible at that, so that's really interesting. I feel like ADHD people have a lot of passions, like they're passionate about a lot of things. At least
I'm not.
Okay, really?
There's lots of things that I really like, but there's not really something I'm passionate about. I feel like when someone is passionate about something, it really drives them.
Maybe I'm thinking that there is passion inside of us, but our life goal is finding what that passion is, because we feel that restless energy and we have that passion we want to put into something. And some ADHD people do find it, and other people feel that restlessness until they find it. Would you say that that's accurate?
I would.
Okay. So there's passion in us. We have a lot of energy inside of us ready to rocket ship into something.
Yeah. We just have to find what it is that then rockets the ship out of the orbit to where it floats and and stays there.
Does
I feel like I'm
like
constantly
productive. Yeah.
I'll also lose interest very quickly.
I have so many projects going on at one time. Is that you?
Yeah.
Or I'll get so excited about something and I'll start it, and then after a few weeks, I don't know why, I just lose interest.
Yeah.
That's a big...
Yeah. In some ways that's a positive because you're the ideas person.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we need to work together with people, find someone who is the detail gatherer.
Yeah.
Who is the put it into action, who is the proofreader.
Yes.
To make sure that works. And so when you're working with people, find those people who that's their strengths.
That's who we need.
And then you have a fabulous
team
product or outcome of of something.
ADHD people, we need support. We need teammates to help us to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
We need someone to sit down with us, do our homework. We need someone to work out the details for us. And we can accomplish so much with that support. I really because we have awesome ideas.
Yeah.
If we had like a ton of money
Mm-hmm.
and someone to like be our secretaries, we could do some awesome things.
Awesome things. It would be the best.
How about like being adventurous? Being able to jump into things that are a little risky, or you're not thinking about the risk, you're just jumping in because you're living in the now. Would you say that you're like that?
Okay, there's two parts to this. Yes, my brain is adventurous. But then also, if you say to me, hey, let's go and do this thing, woohoo! Totally want to do it. But if it's me being the initiator, my lack of motivation comes in, and then I go, I'm gonna have to get dressed.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to do this, and then we'll have to. I need gas. So
I'm gonna have to put some
And so
pants on.
then, even though I know the thing would be so much fun, I don't do it.
Okay, so again, someone else being the motivating factor, then you're in. Even if it's like dangerous. Like, are you a thrill seeker?
You mean like, let's go jump out of a perfectly well-functioning airplane?
Yeah.
I think that I would skydive. I
Okay.
will never bungee jump. I will not rock climb.
So there's a difference, because I'm like, I have skydived. I want to bungee jump so bad. I love rock climbing. I love anything like
now,
that.
if it has something to do with animals, I'm all over it.
Oh, okay.
Like, hey, let's go on a trip to Australia to study all of the most dangerous species of animals that's ever existed. Let's do it. And let's get close to it and let's see it. And
Yes, I'm definitely like that. Do you like sports and like physical things?
yes.
You wanted to be a cheerleader and you
Be
did
a
track and
cheerleader.
stuff.
I
Okay.
would have been a great cheerleader.
You would have been an awesome cheerleader.
And I was good at track. I was really good at hurdles.
A lot of ADHD people, because they have so much restless energy, do sports and put that into athletic something.
A huge part of my ADHD and how it manifests daily is I have the hyperactivity. My legs. I'm constantly opening and closing my legs like this. Or if I'm like, see, I have to act things out. If I'm standing talking to someone, the bottom part of my body, I'm like moving my leg and stuff like this. The upper part of my body does not even know that I'm doing this. The more I move, the calmer I feel.
I'm just very fidgety. I'm always just like fidgeting a little bit. Here's something that I do. I repeat myself. And so I kind of like repeat it, even though it means the same thing. And I like say it in a loop and I just like say it again for good measure. Do you do that too?
Not in the same way. I start to say something.
Pauses.
Yeah. And my husband will say, oh my gosh, what are you saying? Would you finish your sentence? But
You're processing
as I'm
things.
talking, I'm trying to filter the stuff that's also coming in.
Yes. This describes why there are so many blips in my YouTube channel, because I have so many pauses that I need to edit out. Otherwise, these videos would be so long because I pause so many times just to gather my thoughts, or filtering things out, or your brain goes off and you have to like put it back on track.
When somebody else is talking, while that person is telling their story or whatever, I'm thinking of 8 million things that I want to say and comment. I used to really not be a very good friend in this respect, because I would interrupt the person, say my thing, and then hijack the conversation. There's another tangent, and there's another. I realized that about myself because that happened to me. I was talking, a person came, totally hijacked, and she did that all the time. And I would think to myself, that is so rude. Why are you doing that? And then Tiffany had an epiphany, and I went, oh my gosh, I totally do that to people.
Really?
So then I really worked hard to not hijack someone's conversation. I think people with ADHD are not good listeners, especially when you don't realize it about yourself.
Yeah, it's not something we mean to do. We have a thought, and I think maybe we want to say it before we forget it. Because for me, I have these thoughts like, well, someone's talking like, oh, I want to respond to this. But then by the time it gets to my turn to talk, I have forgotten all the things I wanted to say.
All the good things that you had in your head.
Do you bump into a lot of things? Or like, are you clumsy? Or drop things a lot?
No.
Okay, I do. And I think it's related to my ADHD, because I'm grabbing something, but then I'm always thinking of the next thing. I'm never like careful and slow. I'm just boom, looking at the next thing, always in a rush. I feel like that causes me a lot of accidents. I'll be not thinking about what I'm doing and run into something. I do that all the time. Are you accident prone?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, of course, had the moments of, running into the telephone pole.
Yeah.
Because, you're somewhere else. I don't
So
know.
maybe you.
But how many things do we do that it just doesn't bother us because we just kind of laugh it off.
Yeah.
And so then we don't really think about that as
think of
being
it as
something.
a thing that we do because it's just so common and it's not.
So I don't know, maybe I do, but because I just laugh things off.
There's a lot of things I've noticed that's like, I never thought I did that until I was studying ADHD and like, oh, I thought that was just normal, but it's actually like an ADHD symptom. Do you have a hard time watching movies? Like, is it hard for you to focus in a movie, or do you get lost during movies, especially if they're more complicated?
In a way, I can concentrate on that and be paying attention, but I also got all these things that I want to comment.
Will you be talking about the movie or other stuff?
Yes.
Other stuff? Everything?
Everything.
See, my problem is I will just be constantly asking what's happening in the movie. I'll be like, so what are they talking about? I'm confused. Like, wait, stop the movie. Why are they doing this again? And it might be because I was distracted during it and I was doing something else, or like I just get confused easy. I talked about this in a previous episode about working memory. My working memory is not so good. If it's a really complicated movie and it's talking too fast, it takes me a while to like piece things together. I need it to go slower, so I need to pause it, ask my husband questions and clarify, and then move on.
I'm pretty good at being able to multitask stuff. I can be cooking dinner and I can be talking on the phone to someone, and then my kid can come up and say, Mom, I did it. And it's easy for me to, okay, answer this, do this, and to be able to do it all and not feel,
I feel so flustered and overwhelmed at that.
But 10 minutes later, it might be something else, and then I am.
Okay. We were just talking about how with ADHD, everything is inconsistent.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're really good at this one thing, and then the next moment we're not. It depends on our mood.
Consistently inconsistent.
Yes. And in fact, I was telling you, so my dad, who had ADHD, he wrote a life story, and it was called Consistently Inconsistent because it describes his whole life, and that describes ADHD. Sometimes you're going to do a good job, good homework. Other times you're going to just do super bad.
I don't know how your spouse is. My spouse needs consistency. Why did he marry me?
My husband is very much a planner and an organizer, which is really good because it balances out my lack of such. One of these days we'll have to do another episode about like the challenges of a spouse with ADHD, and we can bring our husbands and talk about that because there are some unique challenges for both sides, for us who are ADHD and for our spouses who aren't.
Yes.
And those dynamics it creates. Because I would say it creates some unique dynamics, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Okay. For me, it is difficult to make decisions. Certain things, it's like, oh yeah, I can decide really quickly. But in general, I would say I'm pretty indecisive because I will make a decision and then I'll think about, maybe I do want to do this because, oh wait, but no, but you just keep going back and forth of the pros and cons and you can't make up your mind.
Generally, I am more able to make decisions, but I do have those times of, if it involves my spouse or other people, I'll just say, yeah, I need you to make the decision.
And we were kind of talking about how sometimes it makes it uncomfortable to be in charge. At least that's the reason that I feel uncomfortable being in charge. Planning a fun activity or like a creative thing, if it's fun or exciting, I'll be in charge of that because that's what I know how to do. But if it's something where like decisions need to be made and it has to be efficient and super organized, I feel uncomfortable in those positions.
Let's say there's 4 kinds of people. There's the ideas person, person who gathers the details. There's the person who puts the plan into action, and then there's the person who proofreads. I'm 1 and 4. So I've got great ideas, and I'm good at being able to say, this would work better if we did this thing, and I'm good at proofreading. One of the blessings of ADHD for me, when you see all the things all at the same time, I think it does it in the Sherlock Holmes movie. Like the punch is coming, it kind of stops.
So that's you can be that observant, like that is the opposite of me. That's really cool that you can do that. Another good positive I can say about both of us is that we are fun moms. I can just tell you're a fun mom.
Yeah, kids like me.
I'm good at having fun. I'm not so good at being responsible all the time.
Yep.
But we'll have fun with Mom for sure.
Yeah.
Here comes the hamster again from... If you're ADHD, you need to find ADHD friends because it's so fun.
To commiserate.
Yeah.
And to bond over and
give
celebrate.
Each other support, celebrate.
Because it's not always bad. It's not always commiserating.
No. It's hilarious and fun. It's a good thing too. Thanks for coming, Tiffany. Thanks so much for joining us, and hope to see you next time.